And now, everyone, it is now time that we will go and conclude this episode off with the grand finale. And for this grand finale, we will go and talk about one more thing in regards to the Disney live action remakes, but we're going to be focusing specifically on one of them. Now, Rachel, we've discussed plenty about films like the upcoming Moana remake, How to Train Your Dragon, Snow White, and all that stuff. But I'd like to know your thoughts about last year's Lilo and Stitch remake.
So it's interesting with this one because I thought it was incredibly bland. Like it was unmemorable. I would never watch it over the original, but it's not. It was like watchable. It was cute. Little girl was cute. It would probably be higher up for me in these if I was sane. I still didn't go fresh on it because it was just like I just felt like, oh, this is the same as the animated film. Why would I watch this? But then everybody made all this huge deal out of the ending, and I was like, people have lost their minds. Like, it's not like they had her being raised by some stranger. This was their beloved family friend who had, like, and so she could go to school. Like, that's completely rational. And so that's the only reason I am for this sequel, is because they can show all of these idiots that Nani didn't abandon her sister to a fate worse than death. She went to school. I mean, she literally has a portal where she can see her sister anytime. I mean, it's, to me, that complaint was absolutely bizarre. But yeah, it was completely unmemorable, but I was irritated that people made me defend it because of this insane complaint. But yeah, so there, that's my thoughts on.
Nah, that is fair. And I mean, like, I called out the hate that it just went a little, like, it went too overblown and over exaggerated. Like, trust me, I've received backlash for trying to call that out. But,
like, I'm a much older sister. I have a sister that's 18 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And so I actually appreciated that they found a way for Nani to go to school and to have a life and to have a, like if God forbid something had happened to my parents and I'd had to care for my, younger siblings, it was definitely something I thought about, oh my gosh, like what would I do? And I would like to think that people would help out so that I could go to school if something like that happened. That doesn't seem like an insane request to me. People were acting like she'd like turned her into this foster care system and was like.
Well, it's also worth the thing is that it's also worth asking how many of those people that got mad have actually seen the Lilo and Stitch remake, because that is true. Actually one of those things where people would go out of their way, but like they would openly admit, well, I've never seen the movie, but it's like, okay, are you doing this because you actually care about the subject matter, or you just want to get engaged?
Well, and they have an agenda because of their politics and what they want, the points they want to get from their audience, and that's, instead of just being an authentic opinion, like what did you actually think? It's just an excuse to fill that agenda, which I'm not interested in that at all. That is not, like, I can hear interesting points of view from all different political persuasions, and I like that, but not if you're going in to watch something, you have an agenda, and then you're just repeating the talking points that people tell you. I'm not interested in that at all.
Yeah, I understand. And that's why I want to go and discuss about the sequel, since the movie was a big hit. So, of course, there's going to be a follow-up. Yeah. But there is a very interesting update to it, since, well, regardless if you love or hate the live-action Lilo and Stitch remake, this has definitely made a lot of heads turn. So let's talk about Chris Sanders. Yes, it has been confirmed that Chris Sanders is now going to be the director of the sequel to the live-action Lilo and Stitch remake. Now, previously, it has been confirmed that not only would he be reprising his role as Stitch, like he always does, but at the same time, he would also be writing the screenplay. It wasn't until recently when it has been confirmed that he would also be taking on directing duties. Now, this is actually a pretty big moment because this is actually going to be the first time in around 20 years since Chris Sanders is going to be coming back to Disney as a director. Because you probably know a little bit of the history where prior to this, Chris Sanders was a longtime animator at Disney and has worked on many of the classics during the 90s and the 2000s as well. He did storyboarding for films like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, and then has moved up the ranks to the point where he and Dean DeBlois would direct the original 2002 Lilo and Stitch. It wasn't until when he was working on American Dog, to which John Lasseter and Ed Catmull became the new heads of Disney's animation division, both at Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar. And from there, that's when John Lasseter decided to kick out Chris Sanders from the American Dog project. And that's when he and Dean DeBlois decided to leave Disney and go to DreamWorks Animation, where they would go on to go and direct films, or Chris Sanders especially would go on to direct the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, The Croods, and recently with The Wild Robot. So it's very interesting that now he's going to be directing Lilo and Stitch 2, or that he is going to be directing a Disney movie again.
Well, it's kind of surprising because I think Dean Fleischer Camp did a good job. So it kind of makes me wonder what's going on with him and what's going on there.
Yeah, I did hear that allegedly there might have been some production troubles, like Dean Fleischer Camp was not easy to work with, and that he may have, like, there was one day where he just didn't show up to work at all. But that's just hearsay. I cannot confirm if that is actually true, but it might have been
it'll be interesting to see what he does next, because now he can go out to people and say, I had $1 billion movie, let me make whatever I want to make.
Yeah, it's true. Like now, yeah, like with that in his resume, I mean, like with the Lilo and Stitch remake, considering that it was critically well received as well, like not the best reviews, but I mean, it got positive reception from critics and audiences. Yeah. It made $1 billion. Like it did help to make a name for himself.
He has an Oscar nomination on his on his resume. He's got a $1 billion film on his resume, so I think a lot of people would want to work with him.
No,
to see. Yeah,
I'm sure like he'll probably do fine. I wouldn't be surprised if he already has something in the works right now. Yeah. But now, like, after everything that we have talked about with the Disney live action remakes, and now there is going to be a Lilo and Stitch 2, and it's going to be directed by Chris Sanders. Do you think it's going to work out better?
Well, it's interesting because the sequels have been interesting to these live action remakes. We haven't gotten that many, but the ones we've gotten have been really weird. And so, which I guess I definitely prefer over the cut and copy. So, and I feel like because Lilo and Stitch is a little more grounded in like our time and our, that there's more that they can kind of do with it, with the story. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like there's potential of kind of the next step for Noni and Lilo. I mean, of course, you have the sequels of the animated film that they could at least get some inspiration from.
Or not to mention, like, I think one direction a lot of people are expecting is that it's really going to go into the animated series. So we're going to go and see more of those aliens. I mean, like, even in the movie, there was like one little hint where you see in Jumba's ship where like he would go through like some of the different experiments that they would be there. So I wouldn't be
Have you seen the Maleficent sequel?
Oh, I remember I did that one. That
movie is bonkers.
That was nuts. Weird. I think it's one of the weakest of the Disney live action remakes, if we count that. But still, it's just, that's just weird. I kind of
respected it because it was just insane. And I mean, there's a whole scene in that movie where literally there's gonna be like gas coming from the playing the piano, and they're just about to kill all these people, and I'm like, what is this movie? And I mean, that movie was crazy, and I mean, I thought Mufasa was bizarre, like what they decided to do.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That was
Mufasa,
so
I gotta say, like the origin stuff, I gotta say, some of them are unintentionally funny. I love the way they introduced Pride Rock, where it's like there's a big fight scene
that was
going on, and it's
so
like, oh,
cringe.
and Rafiki's just there, like, oh, hey, look, an earthquake, and then you see a mountain, it's just like, ta-da! There's the iconic thing.
But like, why did they think on either of those films the children would be interested in those stories? Like, it's so strange to me. But yeah, I'm trying to think, what other sequels have they done? Yeah, they did the
There's
Alice
not.
Through the Looking
Yeah,
Glass. Which,
that one was weird. You want to talk
yeah,
about
it was
weird?
very weird.
That one was
None
bizarre.
of them good, but all bizarre. So I guess on that level, I'm kind of curious to see for Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, but for me, what's really intriguing now is the inclusion of Chris Sanders. You legit
Yeah.
got the creator of Stitch himself to go and be on board to like both as the writer and director. So I am wondering with what are they going to do with like what is he going to do? Is he going to be making more of his own story, or are they going to, or is it going to be more of like include, you know, more the fan service thing of including a lot of like the other experiments like Ruben and Angel and all of those characters?
Do you know if Chris Sanders was involved in any of those sequels or the animated show or anything like that?
Technically, yes, because he's been the voice of Stitch of just about everything, with the exception of the anime, I believe. He's been the only voice or the only English voice of Stitch. Like he's done, he's done everything. He's done the TV shows. He's done the movies. He's done the rides. He's done the commercials. He's done the merchandising. Like I would say like some of the video games even. Like I would say about 95 to 99% of the time you hear Stitch, it's Chris Sanders.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yeah, he was there.
So I feel like there is a bit of potential to make something interesting. But, you know, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it is ultimately a wait and see kind of thing. Maybe this, like with Chris Sanders, maybe it could go and work out where he could truly help out to capture the spirit of the original Lilo and Stitch, to go and help, to help patch things up with where it didn't go right with the with the 2025 film. But
I'm just glad they're making a sequel. So all these idiots that were complaining about Nani and doing hit pieces about how Disney's breaking up the traditional family and all that nonsense.
Actually, I just thought of this. You know what they could do? They could bring back Gontu. Gontu was Gontu was not in the first movie, so like I could probably imagine maybe they'll add like a plot element where they're going to bring in Gontu. So I think that could be a strong possibility. But yeah, I mean, and especially right now with Chris Sanders, like he is a very well established director, and he's been doing a lot of great work, especially at DreamWorks. I mean, like he recently came out of The Wild Robot. So it's going to be exciting to see what else is going to be in store with what he's going to be adding to Lilo and Stitch.
Here's a question though: do you think that they have to recast Lilo because they're going to want her to be the same age?
I don't think
She's
so.
going to look real different by the time we make this one.
I mean, that is a possibility. But the thing is that she's still showing up in like Disney premieres and stuff like that. Like she was actually there at the premiere of Toy Story 5, so they might still keep her in.
Because that would be a little bit harder, because then they have to count for like those 2 years, 3 years, whatever, by the time the movie comes.
Well, it is.
By the time they're done.
Yeah, well,
she's going to look different.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, this is a sequel. This is not like a direct adaptation of Stitch Got a Glitch. So they can add in that element of like, They can add in that component of, this is set a few years later. This is how things have been.
Yeah, but they would just have to account for what have they been doing, in those years.
Yeah, I mean, it could, but I mean, a simple exposition or a little backstory could go and explain that. It's, I mean, like, you just saw Toy Story 5, so it could be a little bit like with what they've done with Bonnie.
Yeah, but that's animation.
Well, yeah, it's animation.
I mean, she's growing up. I'm just saying she's gonna look different. Like, it's little kids, like, you're gonna grow up look different. If she was like 5 and now she's 8, that's a big difference.
Yeah, that is true, but I mean, I'm sure they could find a way. Again, this is a sequel where they could do whatever they want. So I mean, they could probably find a way.
It would be interesting. It'll be interesting to see.
Besides, and if I could be honestly, I hope they do keep that little girl, even if she's a little bit older. Cute. She was like the best thing in the Lilo and Stitch remake. She was amazing. Yeah, so like, honestly, you might as well keep the talent in.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe they'd have that. Nani's finished school. It's been 3 years.
Yeah.
She's finished school, so she's not abandoning her sister anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just to go and highlight that. Oh boy. But yeah, overall though, honestly, when it comes to the idea of having Chris Sanders as the director, I think it will add an interesting twist to it. At the very least, I don't know if it will help make it actually good, but it has me intrigued.
It certainly couldn't hurt.
Yeah, and I honestly, considering we are talking about the subject of Disney live action remakes, that is probably the most praise it's going to be getting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely
watch Pete's Dragon. That one's really good.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. Now, with that said, though, now I would like to know from the chat wall, I want to ask you all, what do you think about Chris Sanders directing the sequel to the Lilo and Stitch remake? Do you think it will have potential? Do you think it could work out? Or do you think it's still hopeless? I would love to know your thoughts on that. All right. So when it comes to the Lilo and Stitch remake, I personally thought it was fine. And it's one of the better Disney live action remakes. And honestly, with Chris Sanders coming, this might have some potential. I mean, no one knows Stitch better than Chris Sanders himself. Personally, I think they will bring in Angel, and I do think they might bring in Gontu. And also, I'm wondering if they will redeem Jumba after how they made him the villain in the first movie. Yeah, I do hope so, because like making Jumba the straight up villain, I wasn't really that much of a fan.
Yeah, I mean, and all of that comedy really did not work. Yeah,
I mean, it's already enough that they, it was already enough that they changed him up to be Zach Galifianakis and sacrificed the Russian accent.
Yeah,
trying to make him a villain. Yeah, that's why honestly, I don't like. I thought, like I said, I thought the Lilo and Stitch remake is one of the better live action remakes, but the third act sucks. Let's see. Yeah. As a lifelong fan of the franchise, having Chris Sanders both writing and now directing the sequel is definitely interesting, because for the longest time, Chris Sanders was just providing Stitch's voice in most of the follow-ups in the original series, with Ben Diskin doing his voice in both the anime and Stitch and I, and wasn't really creatively involved with them. I wonder how he'll handle writing characters like Hamsterville or even some of the other experiments, most likely Ruben and Angel. I mean, we'll see. We'll see one step at a time.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't without issues, Lilo and Stitch remake was still one of the better live action remakes from Disney. And while Chris Sanders' only previous live action film was kind of a mixed bag. Oh yeah, the Call of the Wild thing. Yeah, that is true. Did you see that one?
I did. Yeah.
How was that?
I mean, if you can get over how weird the wolf looks, then it's fine. But I couldn't get over it. It looked so bad.
Yeah, at least Stitch has the excuse that he's an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because anyways, where was I? Just let's see. Wait, oh, there we go. I could see him making an improvement with the sequel and maybe even address some of the criticisms related to the first film. Also, this is my asinine conspiracy theory, but does anyone feel like Disney is planning to make a film series that involves Stitch, an adult Lilo fighting space bandits? I don't know if I would say they would try to make like a film series, but I could see that as like a potential animated show in the future.
If we were in 2020, I could totally see that. Now, they're just not greenlighting that much for Disney Plus, so I wouldn't expect it anymore.
Yeah, it's like maybe in the future, but way in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with wait, oh, I didn't read one. Oh, hold on, one more comment to go and read. Sorry. Let's see. To Chris Sanders himself, I'm happy you get to continue directing more films, even if it's a sequel to a remake. I think this could potentially be pretty good since Chris Sanders knows how to make a good movie, especially with The Wild Robot. But he only directed one live action film based on The Call of the Wild, and it was okay at best. But I'm sure he'll do a better job this time. He knows his characters, he knows the lore, so yeah, good luck, Chris.